Hey Mallards, it is Wednesday, and this evening, and also yesterday evening, Megan and I watched the entirety of season 2 of the A-List.
And that really meant that we watched 6 episodes yesterday and 2 episodes today.
Yeah.
Because we have zero chill.
For those of you who have somehow forgotten about this absolute gem of a show, the first season featured Mia showing up at a summer camp on Peregrine Island to have the time of her life. Only there was this girl named Amber who was there, who was blonde and pretty and way cooler than her and kept stealing all of her friends and becoming more popular. And that was just terrible for Mia.
And
what
then
a
Mia
devastation.
Found a picture of all of them last year at the camp.
Mm-hmm. And realized
then things got weird.
Forgotten. And then Amber had plant flowers.
And she could, grow creepy vines and, take over people's bodies and...
mind control people, and then...
The powers don't actually make any sense.
That's true. She can make plants grow, she can mind control people, she can steal people's energy. And then it turned out that there had been this girl named Midge who was at camp who died, and Amber had, taken over her.
Replaced her, not taken over her body, but, taken over
her spirit.
Yeah, and that was weird, and maybe she was trapped in her, and also maybe Amber was a plant, and we
mean that in the literal sense of, grown from the ground, full of chlorophyll.
Or perhaps grown from a test tube, but she was part of the island in some weird botanical way.
And the island itself has a lot of weird stuff going on, and there was some sort of scientific group there studying. And we basically got no answers. And then the season ended with them stabbing Amber with a chemical that they'd gotten from one of the science people that was supposed to nullify her powers. And it did.
But it also, brought Midge climbing up a cliff.
Yeah. And that's, how the season ended. And we finished that and we're like, okay, wait a second. Where's season 2? And then we were like, this actually came out a bit ago. Maybe there will never be season 2. Well, we were wrong.
There's a season 2.
There's a season 2.
And we've watched all 8 episodes. And it's maybe the last season. I think it's supposed to be the last season. And they were like, but what if we put a little bit at the end just in case this does well?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's probably the last season.
But already they had to replace Dev. So one of the first things off the bat is that the actor who plays Dev in season 1 has clearly
moved on,
got something else going on, and couldn't be Dev in season 2. So they did this weird in-universe thing where for some reason his face changed.
Yeah, so they said that basically Amber... So the story is that Midge liked Dev, but Dev...
when they were there that first year that no one remembers.
And Dev liked Mia, not Midge, but Dev's nice, so he was still nice to Midge, and so Midge just decided that, Mia stole him. And so when Midge was inside Amber, Amber made his face look different so that Mia wouldn't recognize him and they wouldn't, remember that they were in love, but that didn't work and they still fell in love. And so then at the beginning of this season, Amber says that Dev and Amber have a conversation that reveals that she undid
what she had done previously.
But her doing it previously was not in the text.
Yeah.
This is just sort of conjecture revealed. But yeah, then in the second or third episode when Mia finds Dev at the research facility, she looks at him for a second and then she's like, Dev, is that you? And he's like, I knew you'd remember me.
Yeah.
And it's never brought up again.
Even though everybody does eventually regain their memories of the first time they were at camp, but that doesn't happen until much later.
And everyone just acts like, yeah, we know. And actually, I don't even think that everyone got their memory back. Because, Mia was given her memory back, and the other people saw the footage from before, but I don't think that they got their memory back. They just saw some, home videos of a funeral. So how does anyone know that new Dev is Dev? How does anyone recognize him ever?
Yeah.
They don't. They just think Luca has another boy in the woods. They're like, wow, 2 woods boys, Luca and Luca 2. It's right, there's the summer camp people and there's the boy in the woods in the first season. And in this season, in the first season, they alluded to the fact that he was a criminal boy in the woods. He's running from the law. He's on the lam. But in this one, we just, like, info dumpy got the fact that he killed someone in a car wreck.
Yeah.
But, like, on accident, like, he was an underage driver that was driving too fast without a license.
And lost control of the car, and the person in the passenger seat died.
And so he ran away to this island so he wouldn't be put in jail?
Which seems extreme from a, like, standpoint of what the law will do. And also, because it becomes clear later in the season that it's not like the law was after him for this accident, so he decided to run away. It's literally like he crashed the car and he was fine and he was like, all right, I gotta go. And he got out of the crashed car and ran away to this island.
Spoilers, but the reason that he knows that is because his friend isn't even dead.
Yeah.
He's just there.
This story takes place a few months after the end of the last one. And
like 2 months.
Our characters are in a few different places. So Petal is in a hospital, kept in isolation, told that no one wants to see her. Mia, for some reason, was sent back into like her regular life because Amber couldn't control her. And so they thought that like something special about Mia. And then everybody else who'd been controlled by Amber was like kept on Peregrine Island in the research facility of the science people, who apparently have like a big facility actually on the island, not
that we've
just
never seen before.
That underground lab that we found.
So much time in the first season looking around the island and finding no civilization. And then in this season, there's like a whole college campus.
Yeah, it's like a really large campus. Yeah.
All they could find was like an underground bunker.
And so like everybody is there, including Midge.
For somewhat unknown reasons, Dev's just been living in the wild.
Yeah. He just like took over Luca's little camp and was like, this is where I am now.
Luca's in the facility.
Yeah, Luca got captured. So then they're like all being studied, and Midge is starting to develop powers like Amber had, and her eyes are glowing purple.
Which Amber's did not, and I feel like they would have made them glow purple if they had thought of this the first season, but go off.
And you sort of learn nothing about the science research facility until the last episode, except that it's run by Midge's mom, and they're clearly studying the substance, like, that gives Amber her powers.
And I feel like they handled that whole thing pretty well. Like, the idea that, yeah, there's this huge facility to help this one girl because her mom is a scientist who, like, sold the stuff for the bioresearch.
The huge facility is there because they discovered an element on this island, and the lead scientist, who's Midge's mom, like, realized that it could be a bioweapon, and essentially the government was like, yeah, as much money as you want, do whatever you want. So like she built this huge research facility.
The thing that makes the least sense to me is the fact of the crystal / Animo scene. So the idea is that everything on this island that is funky is because there's a crystal underground that is infecting people. And so when Midge died, she fell off a cliff, and something happened that meant that she mixed with a crystal.
Yeah.
And that made her childhood doll real and her trapped inside it. Like, the origin of that doesn't make any sense to me.
I was trying to remember like the small bits of Midge we got in the first season, and I'm trying to figure out if she got mixed up with animosine before she like fell off and died.
Yeah,
because there were times, because like there's a bit where she like gets like locked in a cabin, and there are a couple times where she gets like led out into the wilderness and sort of tricked. So they clearly hadn't planned for the animosine to be a purple crystal, because there's no allusion to purple at all
in the first season. And they did it in this season, and it, like, looks cool. It's fine. I'm not mad at it, but it's weird, and I don't feel like they talked about Animosine at all in the first season. But if they did in that science lab near the very end and nothing else. And I'm not sure that they did.
Because in the science lab, they definitely talked about something because they gave the chemical that they, like, stabbed into Amber at the end. But I don't remember it being Animosine. But that's, like, the driving force of all of this.
And I don't understand why it's the driving force of all this. But, like, sure, I guess.
And then it turns into, like, an American Horror Story. Everybody who dies on this island gets stuck sort of thing. So everybody's a ghost.
Yeah,
but if you're not a ghost, then you just see them as, like, black silhouettes that are, like, like that glitch effect in a
and, like, that's
TikTok.
Fine. I don't know if they were trying to open some more cans in case people were into it to do another season. They say that it's, like, ancient, like, that there's a lot of myths about this island and a lot of ancient, like, traditions.
They do give it a lot of interesting lore. Like, the thing about this is that I'm not necessarily against any of the development that they did for this, because I think it made the island interesting and, like, gave it some lore. But I wish, like, I feel like that is not the show that I was set up for in season 1.
Yeah, I think that, like, Amber not being evil in this season, or, like, teeter-tottering between, like, is she evil, is she not evil, was a weird choice. It, like, created a lack of tension whenever she was on screen, because you were pretty sure she wasn't going to do anything bad because they hadn't decided if she was evil or not. The piece about, like, her gaining emotions made sense to me because her whole thing in the first season was, like, taking people's pain away to, like, add them to the hive mind.
Yeah, essentially, like, ridding you of everything.
So, like, getting rid of your emotions to make you feel better because you don't feel anything and you don't want to feel anything and you don't like seeing other people feel pain. So you're like, I'll just take it away and we just all will feel nothing, is interesting. But the season wasn't long enough and they have so many characters and they have so much going on that they didn't linger on that at all. So it, like, could have been interesting. Like, they could have sent Amber off on her own side quest the whole time and just had, like, an Amber episode where she went through all of that development. But instead they wanted her to tag along in this scene and be along for this section of the ride. And so it felt like Amber kept being your guide in the woods who then, when you got to your destination, couldn't go in there.
Yeah, that's true. She did have that issue several times. But she gets to be a real girl in the end. Yeah. Obviously, there are a lot of holes in this and a lot of strange things happening that left us confused, but that didn't mean we didn't enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. And also, this show feels like there isn't holes that you can say, like, that's wrong or, like, that's a plot hole. It's more of that the show purposefully leaves some unanswered questions where the answer to the question isn't necessarily satisfying. Like, if you have the answer to all of your questions about something,
they just don't have an answer. Like, what the heck happened to Harry?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It was a wild time.
I described an absolute wild time.
This show as, like, Riverdale levels of teen drama, but they've decided that the vibe will instead be
Lost.
Like, Lost and a sort of off-kilter horror, like a, not American Horror Story necessarily, but like a creepy, kitschy thing that's got going on.
I feel like the first season of this was Riverdale with, like, a little bit of the, like, Sabrina, like, supernatural element happening. And then the second season was like, but what if also this was season 1 of Lost with, like, the smoke monster? Because it gave me a lot of those vibes. Like, you're on some ancient island, you're not sure what's going on, and there's, like, this creepy sort of thing happening.
And then aesthetically, it was kind of like that, what was it, New Mutants
Yeah, it is.
movie.
Yeah.
They've made, like, Midge have, like, a New Mutants vibe,
Mm-hmm.
which was interesting. I also would describe the first season as, like, horrific, campy garden party, and this one as, like, she got purple eyes, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would put this as like medical drama with a side of mutant powers.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a lot of rings of New Mutants, like even in the facility sort of thing.
And, like, the way they did it, yeah. So I do feel like the seasons are pretty divorced in tone, but they complement each other well. I kind of wish that it was very much like a book 1, book 2, and it's over, but they're clearly playing to their fan base, which is non-existent, but, like, they're hoping that it exists.
Yeah.
And
listen, they got a second season, and
but they ended on a, like, cliffhanger that meant that people really wanted to have answers.
Yeah.
And now there's nothing to answer, except for the question on everyone's mind, which is, why did you call it the A-list?
Yeah, if you know the answer to that question, we'd love to hear it.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, they say it a couple times, but it's pretty forced. The second season should be called Blood Sisters.
Yeah, so otherwise, you know, don't diss your best friends just because you don't think they're cool anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Stay off of creepy islands, no matter what reason you have to go there.
Mm-hmm.
If you accidentally crash a car, stick around to make sure that your friend in the passenger seat is actually dead.
Or he'll try to come and kill you, and then
Yeah.
you'll be friends anyway.
Just don't leave him abandoned in a hospital forever. Let's see, what other important lessons?
If you meet a girl in the woods, she's probably not that into you.
Yeah, that's probably true. And if you meet a guy who seems really into you, but only when no one's around, he's probably a ghost.
Ooh.
And that's our advice from the A-list. We'll see you tomorrow.
I don't know why it turned into advice at the end,
I
but
don't know. I'm fine with it.
I'm into it.